Nerd reactor, roll out.
I just want to tell you right now, this movie sucks. This is a terrible movie, and I like the X-Men, and I'm a fan, and it's this movie really doesn't have a lot to offer in terms of the story, the characters, the dialogue, and most of the time it's kind of like rewatching X-Men Last Stand, where we see Jean Grey. She's bad, and she can't control her powers, but they do have differences and some different changes. But I don't think it's enough to make it an entertaining movie, especially if it's like a storyline that with the main chunk of it where she's just bad to the bone. You're like, okay, we've seen this before. Let's do something new. And they do something new with the third act, where it involves the whole Jessica Chastain's character, and I don't want to reveal too much about that. But even that little arc just really didn't go anywhere, or it wasn't even interesting. And I was like, wow, this was it. As for the characters, Sophie Turner as Jean Grey, she really doesn't. The only moments she gets to shine, she's just bad. None of the characters are likable. It sucks too, because you have the actors like, James McAvoy. You got Michael Fassbender, and these are great actors. I love them. Like, even in the previous X-Men films, I liked them in the previous ones. Especially Michael Fassbender. I really felt for him in the Apocalypse movie, which I know, that had mixed reviews. But I enjoyed that movie, and I enjoyed the just the turmoil with the Magneto character. But with those characters here, I just felt like, oh my god, what are they doing to them? Like, Magneto doesn't really have much to do other than he's pissed off about what happened and what Jean Grey did. And also with Professor X, it feels like, if you've seen the trailers, Beast, he's like just going at him like, oh, how could you do this and that? And then Mystique is always like hounding on him like, oh, you're so bad, or how could you do this? And so a lot of the movie is about that, like, how could you do this, Professor X? And I'm like, okay, I get it. It's like, can you not see? He's just trying to help. Jean Grey, her history was bad, and something bad happened. But then, like, these characters just hounding on him, and it just makes them really, really unlikable. Like, with characters like Mystique and Beast, I'm like, oh god, you guys, what are you doing? What are you doing, Simon Kimber? What are you doing to these characters? Like, I get what he's trying to do. He's trying to create a rift between them, but I just didn't feel it, and I wasn't a fan. And I was especially not a fan of Jennifer Lawrence's character as Jennifer Lawrence as Mystique. It's just the whole time she's just complaining about Professor X, and it's like, just leave already, just go, which she does talk about. And if there's a part of me that felt kind of relieved during a certain scene, in which, if you do watch the movie, you know what I'm talking about. Just because of this, just Jennifer Lawrence as Mystique, I just felt like it's just really off throughout the whole X-Men films. Like, Mystique never should have been a good guy, but then now she's leading the X-Men. Mystique is leading the X-Men, so I'm just like, oh no. But yeah, whatever changes they want to do, fine. But I'm just not a fan of her as the leader of the X-Men. I'd rather have someone that I can root for, and I can't really root for Mystique, just because I'm just not a fan of that portrayal. And I like Mystique. I like, who remains famous as Mystique, so there's a way to make Mystique really cool. And just like this new version, just not a fan. And then this whole storyline with the Phoenix, it's pretty much, if you've seen the trailers, the Phoenix entity goes inside Jean Grey's body, and then, she's bad now. And you got Jessica Chastain's character is trying to talk to her, coach her, and saying, given to the Phoenix Force. That whole thing is just so dull with the story, where it's like, okay, what's gonna happen, and all the tension, but I really don't care. And it's really sad because I like these characters in the previous films, and for me to not care about what happens to them, I'm just like, oh, this is so disappointing. But yeah, I feel like I've been talking crap about this movie a lot, but there are things I like. For example, Cyclops. Cyclops always gets a lot of flack from people, especially since a lot of people are fans of Wolverine. So that means Cyclops really doesn't have his moment to shine. But here, he really does have some moments where he can shine, where he's actually using his optic blast. He's blasting away everywhere. And I really enjoyed that because usually in like the previous films, like sometimes he would use it like maybe like a couple times and that's it. But here, he's just blasting away. And a part of me was like, okay, you're doing too much. Like, calm down. You're going to hurt some people. But then a part of me was like, all right, keep going because I like seeing you use your powers. And he really gets to like let loose. And another thing that I really enjoyed, this is like my favorite part just because I do like the character of Dazzler. And I always wanted to see her in the live action realm. So Dazzler makes an appearance and she's doing like a cool music and light show for the people, for the mutants. And I was like, wow, this is cool because she's performing in the woods and it's like one of those like parties, bonfires and all that, drinking. And Dazzler's got her outfit, so she's decked out. And she looks just, this is like the spirit of Dazzler, alive in the flesh. And so this got me excited. Like, let's say if Marvel Studios wanted to do a Dazzler film, or not, maybe a series on Disney Plus, I'm down for it. That's cool. But yeah, if you're a fan of Dazzler, you'll be excited to see that. And if you're not, then it'll be like, yeah, whatever. It's another cameo. But yeah, in the end, it's like, I usually don't hate a lot of movies, but this is a movie that is pretty bad, and I would say it's one of the worst X-Men films. Like, it's as bad as X-Men Last Stand. Actually, I can actually tolerate Last Stand just because I like Hugh Jackman so much that I can just watch him in anything bad. And this one takes the cake. It's it's up there or down there with X-Men Last Stand, with Wolverine X-Men Origins. But yeah, the characters, the dialogue, the story is just not that interesting. And the characters, with the material they have, it's the action, the drama, it wasn't enough for me to care about these characters. And it's just like they're just going through the motions. But yeah, not a fan of this movie. Let me know what your thoughts are once you see it. Did you enjoy it? Do you disagree with me? Let me know. On the comments below. With that said, I'm John, and I'll see you guys next time.